All right, folks, as you're listening to the podcast, we are getting ready to go live on YouTube. Once the gremlins over at YouTube get us on the air and I'm able to share the link, we will be good to go. Most, thank you for your patience as always. And copy the link over to Twix, and we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dockside at the Bay, episode 25. I am Vinnie. This is Kim.
Hi, everybody.
How are you today?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right for a Tuesday night.
All
Yeah.
right, fantastic. Yeah, today is Tuesday, July 16th, 2024. I do want to apologize for last week, kind of canceling the show at the last minute. Um, I had my work schedule was a little off last week where I had to work Tuesday from 4 a.m. to 12:30 and then be up again for 5 a.m., to be in at 5 a.m. the next day because I
Yeah.
went camping last weekend. So I took Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. So I had to work Monday through Thursday. So you know what? It happens. Life gets in the way.
Yep.
So I do
Sometimes even in the way of our favorite dramas, it's just, what are you gonna do?
exactly. So we took the week off last week, and as a matter of fact, just as a programming note, the week of August 19th, we're going to be taking that week off as well. I will be going away for my birthday on August 22nd. So that week there will be no Suds news, no Dockside at the Bay on August 19th or August 20th. So did want to let everybody know about that. Also, more programming news. The co-host that I thought I had for Squared Circle News kind of fell through. So unfortunately, that will not be going through. That will not be going on as well. So that fell through. So as soon as I find a full-time co-host for news, then we'll be able to get a consistent time and date on that. But until then, you know what, we'll have specials as we go forward and do special interviews with people. Also, this coming Sunday, the 21st of July, it is Sudsy Sunday. The Sudsy Awards will be released at 7 p.m. Sunday, the 21st, right here on this YouTube channel at 7 p.m. So be ready. We got a who's who of presenters this week or this year, and the next year will grow even bigger. But so we're getting everything together, and that'll be out Sunday at 7 p.m. All right. So, Kim, what's been going on with you for the past week or so?
Well, I don't know. It's been just kind of, I'm actually trying to get ready. I'm heading over to join you on the East Coast for heading out of Chicago over the weekend and or this coming weekend, and yeah, gonna spend some time with my family leading up to my sister's wedding. So it's very exciting.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, hopefully your sister's wedding won't be like Pete and Vivian's first wedding.
Let's hope. But I will say their second wedding is, I I love everything about those scenes, which we'll get
Yeah,
into. But
we will.
just a lovely, and considering, it felt these sets of episodes did feel like, it was a finale, and you felt it, but
Yeah,
just very, very well done set of episodes, to cap off
absolutely.
or finish off season 2 for us.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. And before we get into those, I do want to, as always, let everybody know we are an official affiliate of the WWE shop, which is a Fanatics experience. Go on over to sudsandsquaredcircle.com/sudsy, I'm sorry, /wrestling merch. And that'll bring you over to WWE shop with our official affiliate code. Anything you buy using that code will give us a commission. And it's going to help us with our show. So again, sudsansquaredcircle.com/wrestling merch. Also, forgot to announce it on Suds News last night. We've had quite a number of celebrity deaths over the past couple of days.
Yeah,
Um,
my goodness. I mean, they say it comes in threes, but this time it was four.
five.
Five,
Um,
yeah, no,
Shell,
yeah,
we
yeah,
had Shelley Duvall first. Uh,
right.
who I believe she did some soaps in her lifetime. I'm gonna have to.
I want to say yes too on that. Yeah, that sounds right. I mean,
Um,
I most associate her with The Shining, obviously, but
you know what? I never saw The
obviously
Shining.
never.
Never saw The Shining.
Wow. And I'm not even really a horror movie girl, but even I've seen The Shining.
Let's see filmography. Let's take a look. No, but it doesn't look like any. It doesn't look like she was on any soap
Oh,
opera.
well,
Um, oh
still
no,
though,
wait a
quite a
minute.
body of work, quite an
She's got an
accomplished
entire
actress.
she got an entire Wikipedia page just for her filmography. So
Wow.
let's see. Let's do Frasier. Well, I mean that's not necessarily nope, never did any soaps. Okay. So Shelley Duvall was first. Then we got news about Richard Simmons passing away,
Yes.
alumnus of General Hospital.
Oh, I
Um,
didn't know that.
yes, he was on many times for the nurses' ball and
Oh,
went toe to toe with Lucy Coe
huh.
um, numerous times. Oh, the last time I want to say was in 2015, 2016, and holy cow, the scenes were epic.
I can only
Um,
imagine.
so Richardson was next. Then we heard about Shannon Doherty.
Oh,
Oh
that
no, but
just,
actually, I'm sorry. Before Richard Simmons, we heard about Dr. Ruth, who
yes.
honestly I thought was already dead, but I didn't realize she was still alive.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No,
Dr.
that,
Ruth was a pioneer in talk shows and sex health and sex,
mhm.
sex education,
Yep.
uh, sex therapy. And
Yeah.
then we heard about Shannon Doherty, who of course
Yeah.
90210, and she was on
Charmed.
Charmed.
Yeah.
Um, she died of cancer. I don't know if it was breast cancer or not, but I know it was cancer.
I think it was breast cancer. Yeah.
And then we heard of Jacoby Jones, a football player, 40 years
Yes.
old, um,
Just, oof.
former Super Bowl winner. Just so sad. Um, this was a very rough weekend in general. Also, I mean, there was an assassination attempt on former President Trump. So, it's just all around a very, very bad weekend. But
Yeah.
we're here to provide some entertainment to you, to get your mind off of things as we get into Dockside at the Bay. The Bay episodes 13 and 14 of season two,
Yep.
which are basically the season finale of those two of season two.
Yes.
And we did get to see a lot of stuff, a lot of closure, and a lot of setting up for the next stories.
Oh, definitely. A lot of stuff kind of, just foreshadowed at, a lot of things that they just new threads being created that are going to carry into obviously season three.
Yeah,
New characters kind of, brought into the fold, kind of, but in such a way that it didn't feel like it was out of place. It felt
right.
organic, it felt right. And then you just get like these fun little twists that make you, leave you wanting more, which is what soaps are all about. So,
You're we were introduced to Sir Thomas Kenway, who is the lawyer um for who's going to be the lawyer for um Sara. Now that
yes.
so we'll get into that a little later, but the biggest news is Pete and Vivian finally tie the knot.
Yes, yes, and that lovely little ceremony with, okay, I want to say the actor who played the minister was he.
Mhm.
He looked very familiar. I was trying to figure out, and I should look up the filmography. I should have looked it up before this, but I want to say that he played Craig on Days.
I don't know.
I want to say he either that just very familiar looking actor. I should look it up and verify it, but I love for just a one-off character for just that one episode when he plays
Yeah,
the pastor, just such a character, just so dynamic. Those scenes were just those scenes. I love those scenes so much.
they were great. I mean, we saw in the car heading there, Pete and Vivian and um Daniel
And
and
Avery, yeah,
Avery. Because they need the two witnesses for to get married, and they found this chapel away from everybody. So that's where they're going to, and and Daniel, of course, is wisecracking the entire time,
yeah, But
Every
it's like fun and lighthearted, just
it
like the
is.
whole like, it's just it's a nice contrast. It's
It
nice
is.
seeing them being able to just kind of be like, just I mean, they're young and they're going off to get, two of their friends get married. And it's just it's they were just fun, refreshing, nice scenes in
Hey
that lead
Nathan,
up.
welcome to the chat. How are you today?
Hi Nathan.
Um, so you know, it was funny because you got to the point where the pastor says, you know, should anybody have any opposition to these two to be wed? And Daniel's like, stuttering, and then he's like, oh no, not this time. It's okay. And the pastor's like, oh, he's a joker. He'll be here all week, folks. Just a little lighthearted humor for the situation.
Yeah, yeah. No, just but like even just like the vows and the dialogue and the whole just the whole wedding itself is just I always thought that was just so lovely the way that they just
Yeah.
capture all of that. They deserve it. They're like they're the little super couple of the show, so they deserve the happy nice wedding, especially after the way the fallout from the previous.
Yes, you are correct. But they did get married. It went off with it without a hitch. They got hitched without a hitch. Um, and it was, those fun scenes for Pete and Vivian, Avery and Daniel. On the flip side,
On the flip
the
side, yes.
show opened up the episode with Lex having a dream that
Yeah.
Sarah come home.
Yep, she walks in and she's, all like, he's saying he's dreaming and she's all, no, 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 you're not. I'm a free woman. I'm here. And then they hug and then, just hold me. And it's a lovely little tender moment. And then his alarm clock goes off. And then we're just like,
Yeah.
yep, okay, saw that one coming. But
And
yeah,
apparently he's been sleeping on her couch.
yeah, which, oh, Lex,
Um,
poor boy.
so you know, uh, he has a dream, and then all of a sudden we're kind of shifting back to Liana going into Janice's hotel room, hospital room, to
Yeah,
get released.
yep. And those scenes, my goodness. I mean, all the scenes between Liana and Janice over the span of, these episodes were just, so well done. I mean,
Yeah,
their chemistry is like, mother daughter and just everything, and just that just they play off each other so well.
they do.
And I just, yeah, those scenes were just very, very intense, but very just moving and well done. And just, you really, you feel all like the tension that's in that relationship just to kind of start to like dissipate a little bit because they just realize that like, deep down they do love each other, they do need each other. And it's just those scenes on the beach too, so powerful and so well done.
Yeah, but just the way that they reconnected over this tragedy of Janice being raped, you know,
Yes.
for Liana to kind of come out and say, "You didn't deserve this,"
Right.
nobody deserves this. You were hurt. That should never happen, and everything. It's like it's a vast contrast to just a couple of episodes ago where Liana was like,
Right.
"Whatever happened, you probably deserved it."
Yeah, and it's just like but in like the heat of that moment and all of that anger that, every, because there was the fallout of obviously her finding out about the whole thing with Pete and then but, just being able to like set that aside, knowing it's like, okay, you're getting discharged from the hospital. I know exactly what's happened. And she's just like, she's so like just protective of her. She's just like, here, we're just going to take these. It's almost like she's the mom. It's almost like the
Yeah,
roles get reversed, and you just see her like taking the pamphlets that the doctor hands her and just kind of tucking them away and being like, we'll talk. We're going to go home. We're going to take care of you.
yeah,
And it's just such a, and she just looks so like, fragile, but so happy that her daughter is kind of, letting her back in. And there's just so many different layers, but such well done scenes.
yeah. Definitely works. Well done. Um, we also saw kind of towards the end of the episode 13. Um, you'll have to for I actually literally watched them last week, the two episodes, and then I was so busy today, I didn't get a chance to rewatch them, so I kind of just fast forwarded through them. So I'm kind of going a little all over the place.
You got to do what you got to do sometimes. I
So
actually watched them last week as well, obviously.
yeah,
And then but I'm going for my notes and just general memory, because I having seen it before and everything, but and these were pretty memorable episodes too,
They
which
really
helps.
were. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Um, you had Sara kind of once Pete and Vivian get married, you
Yes.
have Sara, in the it looked like the chow hall or something where she was sitting with uh uh Big Candy and some of her group, and then all of a sudden the guards come in and shoo everybody away,
Hmm.
and Sara starts a fight with, I think, with Rhea.
Well, it was prior. I mean, yeah, because like prior to that, she kind of has, she's had that like that conversation with Steve and everything as well,
Yeah,
you know, which kind of just put her in this like kind of like fight face mode.
yes,
And then, the episode closes with Rhea, like I want to say Rhea just kind of like antagonizes,
yeah,
you know, and is just like coming up behind her and like playing with her hair and just like, harassing her or whatever. And it's like the last straw. And she
it
just
is.
can't, and she explodes and she, fights back. And it's like I remember watching that for the first time, like, back when I watched the series initially, and I was just like, oh my goodness, they're actually having her like, jump on the table, dropping F
Right.
bombs and going after this woman. And it's like, you go, girl. Cause
Yeah.
it's like, she's finally kind of like coming to her own, just like, realization that like she has to take care of herself and
And
nobody
it's
else is.
such a stark contrast from the socialites. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
the socialite Sarah Garrett who would never, do anything like that. But now she realizes, okay, I've got to really, put myself first, take care of myself. And
Yeah. Well,
um
because like to be fair, she just Candy is like like Lola even like kind of tells her like gives her a warning like watch your back,
yep.
and Lola even tries to like defend her at one point, kind of like leaps on the table, almost like she kind of reminded me of like a spider monkey or something. She just kind of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
leaps up, and she's just like I'm gonna mess you up, like I'm gonna. It's like kudos to Patsy Peace. She just like went all out in that, and it was comical, but it was also like a little bit frightening. It's like she played that unhinged, just like I'm gonna
Oh yeah.
mess you up so well. But then Sara just is like, yeah, you should listen to her. And you're just like, oh, what's she gonna do, what's she gonna do? And then picks up the tray and just backhands her with the tray, and it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
She's fighting now. But she has valid, I mean, she has valid reason. This woman's been
Oh
beating
yeah.
up on her for reasons we still don't really understand, aside from like, her thinking that like, she's like a queen, what was it, a queenie bitch or something
Yeah.
like that. I mean, we don't really know why Rhea is so against her. We just know that Rhea is like, kind of, ooh,
Yeah, I think
crazy.
Rhea just is
Yeah.
a character that um just doesn't like anybody. She
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of just wants to be around her own group and doesn't trust anybody outside of her group.
Yeah. But like, just but this woman has had such animosity towards her from the beginning. And then finally Sarah's just like, you know what, I've had enough. And but it was even like kind of I think it stems too from her conversation that she has with Steve when he goes to the jail and he's trying to talk to her, and she's just not having it. She's just laughing at him, just like, what the hell are you even thinking? What are you doing
Yeah.
here? He's like saying all like, I'm hoping we can have a civil conversation, like I want to discuss our marriage, not necessarily like your mom said, you wanted to talk about getting a divorce. And he's like saying like, well, why won't you reconsider all of this? And then just the expressions on her face as he's like trying to like plead his case were just classic. She's just
Yeah.
like, he's just like, you don't even have 1 ounce of love for me, do you? And then she's like, no. It just like so simple about it, just like
Right.
no. And then like do you want to talk about divorce? Do you want to talk about me like being your wife? What do you want to like? What are you doing here? And then he's all, well, we still have a bond, all of this stuff, just trying to, grasping at straws.
Yeah.
And then for him,
Well, because he realizes that he's losing his meal ticket.
yeah, no, and he's a desperate man. But, she's just like, tell me what you want out of the divorce, write it down, give it to your attorney. I never want to see you again, and this way that'll happen. And she just hangs up the phone on him and she's just done.
Yeah.
And you could just tell like she's done with everything in that moment. And that's when she just kind of decides, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to go off on this, individual who's been harassing me.
Yeah.
And but she does end up, suffering the consequence of that because the next, episode we see her and she's in
We see
solitary
her
with
in solitary
with
confinement.
the rat, which
Yeah.
was just like, oh, God.
Yeah.
And just you see
Yeah.
that contrast from like, her like fighting, her swearing, her just like cursing this woman out and going after it to just like curled up basically in the fetal position in that horrible cell and just looking like totally just like dead inside and lost and oh yeah, I mean, gosh, there's a
Well,
reason why
before
she won so
that,
many awards for this show.
oh yeah. Before that, we do see Lola get a phone to call, or Lola call Zoe
Yes.
and
Yes.
says, you need to check on Sara or get her out because
Yep.
she needs help.
Yeah, like, and she's like crying on the other line, and it's like the first time that they've spoken because even Zoe's just like, I can't even remember like the last time, like, I talked with her, it's just, but, and even, Vivian in that scene, like right after Zoe hangs up the phone with Lola,
Mm.
Vivian is so like, just like sweet and supportive in that moment and just like, just there. It's just like, oh, Vivian, I love you. You're great because Zoe is clearly shaken up by the fact that she's just gotten a phone call from like her mother and finds out that Sara is like, in serious trouble, which she is.
Yeah,
So, but it was an interesting little kind of twist. And it makes me wish that we would see more of Lola just in general, just because of that, Zoe
right.
connection and stuff like that. But because those scenes, even like when they were just on the phone with each other, were like so powerful and so well
Oh
done.
yeah.
So,
Oh, they really were. I mean, because you can tell the emotion in there to the fact where I don't know the backstory between Lola and Zoe. I would love to delve into that if
right.
for a possibility, but like because you don't know whether it's a thing of Zoe wanted nothing to do with her mom, or
Yeah.
was it Lola saying, I don't want to burden Zoe with with me being in here, so I'm just going to distance
Right.
myself. And we don't know how long she's been in there, but for that to be like, her reaching out and saying, listen, I know that Sara, because obviously you were supposed to marry Brian,
Hmm.
but I got to tell you, she needs help.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like you see like that guilt too, because that like, she was kind of like trying to like she was trying to align herself almost with like both and
Yep,
then kind of, wound up like, helping Ray out. But then obviously like when, Sara was attacked, she just like the guilt kicked in and she was
yep,
just trying to then she got in spider monkey mode and I'll mess you up and trying to defend her and trying to help however she could. So,
yeah.
but
But I mean, it
yeah,
does turn around for Sara in episode 14 because
it
yeah,
does.
she starts out in solitary confinement. We see the guard coming down, putting a tray of food in the little slot for her.
Yeah.
Uh, we see George the rat, and yeah, I don't think his name was George, but
We
for you wrestling fans out there that were fans of Mankind back in the late '90s, his rat was named George, which was actually Jim Cornette's rat, but that's another. Um,
Well, we can call him George for the purposes of this. I think he was, uncredited, so we can call him
yeah.
George.
So Sarah's in the solitary confinement cell with George the rat. You know,
Yeah. And then she starts hallucinating though to young Lee,
yeah.
just kind of starts seeing him there and, calling him like, like guardian angel and all of this and, just and
But
those
there was
scenes where
a flashback too. There's a flashback to
oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
Sara and Melody where
Yes.
comes in and basically tells them that Red is dead, that they
Mm-hmm.
found the body, and he explains what happened. There's still there's no information about who did it. They're
Yep.
still investigating. But there's that flashback that's right there. So we do get kind of like
Yep,
it
because we
almost
see
made me
Lee like holding young Sarah, and we see like Melody finding out the news, and
yeah,
then kind of cut to Sarah just flashing on obviously that whole experience and that whole thing, and just
because
seeing
I'm
the
almost
love of her
wondering
life.
if at that point in time Sara had just gotten back from doing the deed because she was all shaken up, because Lee was kind of consoling her, like holding her and consoling her.
It almost could like immediately follow the one flashback that they did when she's like in the bathtub and he's comforting her and holding her.
Right. Yeah.
It could almost immediately follow that, like just in terms of, because obviously the news breaking and everything like that, it wouldn't take that long for them to realize,
Yeah.
that Red was in the bay,
Right.
the whole bit. And so for it would make sense that like he just kind of finds out about this whole situation, then he's there trying to comfort her through it, and then she's flashing on the situation obviously when she's in solitary for it.
I'm almost wondering because I haven't watched far enough ahead to know if Sara actually did kill Red or if we even find out in general. Um,
Well, I'm
so
not going to say anything.
no, that's fine. Let me get that because I like it because it's keeping me guessing. And at this point in time, just judging by that flashback, you know, it could have been Sara that killed him. It could have been Lee,
They
you know?
do just kind of tease out the situation, but they don't fully, disclose every. It's not as if it's not like when we were doing all the flashbacks to Jack, when
Yeah,
they were like filling in all the gaps for us and letting us know that history and like, fully, completely all of that. It's like with this, they obviously still want to keep that mystery in play. They still want
yeah,
to kind of leave it like a little ambiguous for us just to keep us guessing. But, it's implied that obviously, she was at the scene, she was involved somehow, there was blood on her hands, and there was enough evidence in the confession that she makes as well, so there's a lot, but we don't know everything just yet, which is
right.
nice. It's like it's getting teased out for us, and in the form of just with the flashbacks and just like just little peppered in just to kind of hold our interest and just make us like, well, okay, what's going on? And it's a
Yeah,
perfect setup, for a finale episode too, just
yeah,
because then that way it's just like, well, I guess we're going to find out in season 3.
exactly. Um, so we finally do get we get the scene where Sara is released because Pete's
Yes.
like, oh, because somebody asked Pete what's the next step. He's like, all right, well, I just got to go to the bank, transfer the funds, go pay the
Yeah.
bill, and it's
But he
done.
does say too that they're worried about the defense attorney because there's like a kind of some of the money is still being held up or tied up in certain things, and
Yep.
majority of it is going towards paying the bail. So they're and Vivian like points out the obvious that just like, well, you need to make sure that like you have a top priority, defense attorney, that should. And I think it's either, well, I think all of them just kind of like look at Pete being like, you got to make sure that you've got someone who's going to be able to get your mom out of jail,
Yeah.
or even like if she's like, even if she's out on bail, you got to make sure that she's got the best defense out there.
Hmm.
So they kind of introduce Tobin to the scene.
Right. So that no, that's not all right. So it's not Tom Kenway. Thomas Kenway. Um,
Yeah, no, for a second I was like, wait a minute, maybe the actor playing Tobin is a Thomas Kenway.
no,
But I
no.
was like, no, no, Tobin is well, we find out that he is a defense attorney who's interested in Sarah's
Okay.
case,
Yeah.
or it's Artie Tobin because he's
That's
all
right.
in
Arthur
he's all
Tobin.
in yeah, he's all informal around. He's just like, oh, call me Artie, and they talk about how he was like, big lawyer on the East Coast and
Yeah.
has done cases like this before, all of this. And Pete, is like grilling him, which I
Yeah.
loved. He's just like, so what are you in for this? Like what's in this for you, because you're doing this pro bono. What's going on? Like he's
Yeah.
very just, and then it's all like, well, you're definitely your mother's child, and he's all, well, your mom built this city, with strength and determination, and I see that in you. And he's talking to Pete like, like, oh yeah, bud, you're a good kid, all
Yeah.
this stuff. And Pete's just still just kind of like, Sarah's has the final, or my mom has the final say in all of this, anyways.
Yeah.
So, but they and why do you think she's innocent? And he's like, it doesn't matter, only matters that I can prove it. And I think
Right.
that that's like the moment where Pete's just kind of like, okay, I guess you're on the level. I guess this will
Yeah.
work. But
Exactly. And that's the kind of thing a lawyer's going to say. It doesn't matter whether I believe she's innocent or not. It's
yeah,
you know,
your
it's
job is to prove it.
as long as I could at least produce a piece of reasonable doubt,
Hmm.
for the guilt, you know. I
Yeah,
mean, it's just a lawyer thing to do.
right. But just like really good scenes there, just kind of setting up that character, and then we get the twist at the very end when he's on the phone, Mr. Mystery Man.
Yeah.
Just he's a little concerned about like, not really sure how they managed to convince everyone that, he was the right guy for the case. And, considering Pete has no idea that I'm his father, it's
Mhm.
just like, twist,
Yep.
big cliffhanger twist.
Yep.
So,
Absolutely.
finally we see Pete's dad, and then yeah, you got to wonder, first scenes between Sara and Tobin, how that's all going to shake out now that Sara's happily out on bail.
Yes. And
So
we'll see that next week. But before we do, um, we do see the current police officers. Mac goes to John Blackwell's house,
yes,
knocks on the door, says, can I come in? And John's like, no.
in all his hospitality, just charming ways, he's just
Yeah.
no.
And
Sorry.
so Mac's like, all right, I'll get comfortable out here, but I got a couple questions for you. Your father's awake, and you know, just when was the last time, or where were you when he was shot? And
Valid question.
exactly, valid question. And to be honest, I can't remember what he said. I think he said,
Like just kind of leaves, he's let me pull up my note. I mean, basically he just kind of says like, what do you have any like kind of, because like they're just grilling everybody. They're grilling,
yeah,
they have to grill Jack as well, about like the situation and all of that. But yeah, John Blackwell is not going to be the most like forthcoming, when it comes to all of this.
no, but I did like how Matt when Max said, you know, I'm your father's awake. I'm sure you're excited. And John's like, yeah, I was doing cartwheels a little while ago.
Yeah, just all the sarcasm. You gotta love it.
Yeah,
But I'm just trying to pull up exactly where, because we do have that kind of, scene with John Blackwell and
an orchid.
it, yes. And when we like yeah, John is like kind of, he's kind of thrown into a couple of different situations. We also
Yep.
have that scene with him and Steve.
Yes. Yep. That too.
So, I mean, he's just kind of like, he's obviously, we know he did it, but he's like, he's
But
cagey and
then
he's just kind of,
there's also the scene with the lackey for the warden that's saying he's John Blackwell at the restaurant.
hmm yeah. I mean, it's just all these little, like, what was the dude doing? Like
Yeah.
because we, we've seen so many different kind of facets of this character at this point, but he's still got a lot of mystery to him. And
Yes.
he's still getting drawn into all these different kind of scenarios. And I mean, but it is, knowing, Steve knowing that like he's got kind of John Blackwell, it's like you almost don't want to see it because you want to see like, you want to see Steve just like at like bottom of the barrel,
Yes.
desperate. But then he realizes that he's got some ammunition because he knows that, John Blackwell pulled the trigger
Yep.
and is prepared to use that information to get what he wants and make sure that Sara, stays
Yep.
in jail for a long time, just that whole bit. And he's going to use that leverage and even tells there's that scene in the limo where he tells oh gosh, what's her name, business partner.
Oh, Joe.
Yes, thank you. When he's talking with Joe and she's still in like that. I love how she's still in that camp of just like, I'm fully prepared to just like not do business with you anymore. You do
Yeah.
realize this, right? And then
Yep.
he just always comes up with like another way to like another angle. He's just like, nope, I got something up my sleeve. We're still okay. Everything is
Yeah.
fine. Like, don't disrupt our arrangement.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, it's just because even that scene with Steve and John when they're on the beach, and it's just like they're both kind of staring straight ahead,
Yep.
but they're both talking to each. It was just such like a well shot, well done. It looked like something out of like just like some like I don't know Clint Eastwood movie or something
Yes.
like that.
Yep.
Like before you start rearranging my face, I have bodyguards here that aren't afraid to kill you. And he's all like, well, I'm not afraid to kill them either. They're
Yeah.
just like, just two dudes trying to be cool, but also just like one has one, stuff over the other. And it was just, that made for some fun scenes, I thought.
Then we did see the Mac and Will and the other detective
Yes.
in the hospital room with
With
Jack and
Jack, yeah. And
Sophia.
we had that the little moment, Sophia is like telling him because Sophia doesn't want him to watch the news, even though the news was pretty telling because we also had that whole kind of situation happening with Chase
Yep.
when he finally gets, pulled, finally, gets what's coming to him and, gets
Yeah.
dragged off by the cops
Yep.
for good reason because, that whole obviously the whole situation with him and and Tamara
Him and Tim.
comes
Yeah.
to a head. I
Yeah.
loved the moment where like Will and the cops are right outside the door and they're like closing in or whatever, and then they
Yeah.
realize, oh shit, it's a Garrett in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're just like, okay, this just escalated like a lot. Like,
Yep.
just they both have that kind of that moment there. And then kudos to Tamara with the
Yeah.
mace, just being
Yeah.
able to like fend for herself there and get the hell out of that situation. But
Yeah.
and also, I mean, my goodness, Patrika Darbo, only in like a little like kind of sequence, but like kills it
Yeah.
and just like, completely like obviously devastated. She's obviously like, turning in her son
Well, I
and
mean,
is or
the thing that I find hilarious is that picture could have been the most generic picture.
oh yeah.
It could have been Mr. Potato Head for God's sake.
It really was
You
like,
know?
it was, yes, it was very just kind of nondescript, just sort of like a standard. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, but for everyone to just be like, oh, it's him and,
Yeah.
see that and just, but I don't know. They, maybe they needed to hire like a super professional sketch artist for the props team or something
Well,
like
yeah,
that.
apparently the Bay City Police Department does not have a sketch artist nor a graphic designer who could do it on a computer at this point.
Right, right.
You know
They're
what I
not up to
mean?
like SVU standards where they could just like print off basically like, like a full
Right.
on rendering. Like they're not there yet.
No.
So,
But either way, she sees a picture on the news of this just generic potato head faced guy and says, "Oh my God, that's my son."
yep.
You know, no
Yeah.
facial hair, no,
I mean, women, mother's going to recognize her child, but I give her a lot of credit for being able to just decipher from that picture alone that, like,
yeah,
yes, oh, yeah, but even the scenes though, when like she's talking to the cops and then like they like escort her over to the squad car or whatever for her protection,
yeah.
and they just kind of, she and him like exchange glances from when he's getting like, cuffed or whatever on the sidewalk. And it's just, I mean, my gosh, such
It's
like
a look of
powerful
disappointment
scenes. Yeah, just
from Patricia. Yeah.
yeah, just but
And you gotta
finally,
feel so sad for her. I think her run
oh
on the show is
gosh,
actually coming to an end at the end of this season.
I believe so.
Um,
I don't think we see too much of her after this, but I mean,
maybe a
what a way
couple
to
of
go
guest
out.
spots, right?
What a way for the character to kind of, make an exit, because it's
But
just she's,
yeah,
she starts out as just the sweet little waitress and then has this whole horrific arc, with her son who is just, the
and
worst,
her other son was
lowest of the
killed
low
in a car
criminal.
accident.
Right.
So
Right. She has
she
been through so much.
yeah. And
So,
it's funny because that side plot, that side arc is not really put together. Like it's not something where it's really shown to be part of it because when you think about it, if you go back, I think the guy's name was Sean. The the her other son, I think it was Sean.
yeah, the
Sean
assistant.
Kanan that played him. Um, but I think it was, I can't remember. But because he was the mayor's right hand man.
Yes. Yes.
Um, so he dies in the car accident, and then you see the scene where Chase goes up to his mother and like, to be honest, you wish it was me.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been me. And
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
just
just
such
a
a hurt.
tragic, tortured, twisted dynamic between the two
Yeah.
of them. But, they just every scene that the two of them, I mean, they rocked the hell out of it. I mean,
Oh yeah.
just so well done. And
Yep.
just, I mean, and now like, like that arc is kind of coming to a close, obviously. He's going to jail. She's, getting in, protection, all of this stuff. But yeah, like I said, what a way to go out.
Exactly. No, you're exactly right.
And also,
Um,
speaking of just general, characters like kind of exiting, but also characters kind of making an entrance. I know that we saw him before, but when we had Brandon Beamer just strutting down
yeah.
the hallway, man in black, Mr. I'm the new DA.
Yep. Exactly.
I underlined that moment in my notes because I was just like, yeah, okay, new
Yeah.
guy in
And then
town.
Riley
Yeah,
confronts him and like, who are
yeah,
you?
yeah,
He asks, who are you? And she's like, I should be asking you that.
right.
You're
Then
outside
he's
my stepfather's hospital room.
yeah, and then he like drops in on like with the grandfather, plays the
Yeah.
grandfather card. And then basically, announces he's the new DA. But yeah, talk about making an entrance there. You know, of course, it's John Blackwell's son, so of course he's going
Yeah.
to be like, you know, ultra fanatic.
Mm.
And it's going to be like a bit, you know, just kind of swaggering on it and doing his thing, and you know, he's taking after his dad.
Yep, exactly. I think that's about it. What did we miss anything?
Going through, just trying to review. I think we did kind of touch on everything. We did have the Sara and Candy scene when she is
Yes,
before
what's
she's discharged from prison, you know, and it was like, you know, she kind of it's cute because like when she like comes out of like the also it was kind of funny. It's like usually like you get arrested, you know, and then whatever it is you're wearing when you go in, it's what you wear when like you leave. And I am 90% sure she wasn't wearing that at Marley's funeral.
um not necessarily. It depends on how, now granted, being in a TV show, it's a little different, but usually within 30 days you have to have your family come pick up your
Oh.
personal belong. Now it also depends on if it's a county jail or a prison, because when
Mm,
you get to a prison within 30 days, you have to ship out your stuff or family picks it up or whatever,
gotcha.
or it gets thrown away or lost and found.
Okay.
But in county jail, families allowed to bring you, clothes for like a court appearance.
Right, right.
Um, but yeah, usually it is what you wear in is what you, and for all we know, she could have, sent the dress home and just got
I don't know. I
delivered.
just noted her cute little outfit and I'm just thinking like, "Oh, you look so like put together and nice considering yeah, like
Yeah,
you were just like, you know, not too long ago you would like, you know, your face was totally beaten in and you know,
exactly.
you were in solitary confinement."
Yeah,
Yeah, she really you know, cleaned up real nice, you know, for leaving jail. But
exactly.
it was super, you know, her scenes with Candy, you know, were just I thought those were so well done when she goes back out onto the yard and is just talking with her and just kind of, you know, I became like I was scared of you,
Yeah,
but then, you know, you kind of gave me strength in here, which I needed. And just when Candy hands her like the sucker too and just says like I know a good soul when I see one,
yeah.
it's like, oh, nice. You know, that was just a
Oh yeah.
nice little exchange between the two of them, I thought.
And I believe that's about.
Yeah, I think all well, we do have to kind of touch on the end. The last note that we had, the last scene, Pete and Vivian by the pool.
Oh yeah, yeah,
When
yeah. That's right. P and Vivian were by the pool.
and they got the champagne
Yep.
and that scene I think is just adorable when like, you know, like I'm celebrating that I'm a millionaire and all of this stuff and then like, you know, she doesn't know how to open up the champagne bottle and so he tries to
Yeah.
like, you know, help her through it. It's just that's shows her how to open the little twisty thing. Like
Yeah.
that was just such a cute little they uncork it together. I just thought that was a sweet little moment. But she goes in the house to find some glasses and then Janice just walks up with like that big $1 million smile, just like, you know, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh,
Yep. Too
oh.
little, too late.
Oh man. No, just you know, and then Viv comes out, you know, holding the champagne and sees and then fade to black and then it's just like, oh, all right, we're done now.
Yeah, because then we go to season three. That's what
Yes.
we covered next week. Season three, episodes 1 and 2.
Yes.
So we're flying through now. So hopefully they
Yeah. We're
release more episodes.
yeah. No, I mean, but you know, by the time it'll be interesting, like, you know, when we're in real time.
Yeah.
For sure. But you know, we're getting there. We're catching up. You know, we're doing pretty well. So oh, and there was also just that one little moment when Damien goes and tells John, you know, talking to his father and
Mhm.
just wants confirmation, like, tell me you didn't shoot my grandpa.
Yeah.
That was one moment that I don't think we touched on, but it was kind of powerful and kind of important.
Oh yeah.
And that was just another kind of like, you know, little cliffhangery sort of thing because John doesn't even answer him, but you know,
Right.
it's just kind of so we got tension, you know, between, you know, with Blackwell, with his kids, we've got, you know, the whole lead up with Pete and Janice, and we've got, you know, Sara and Lex and Tobin and all these folks.
Oh
Just
yeah.
we left them
It's
all in
going to
kind of
be
a
a great
crazy place.
it's going to be a great thing going to season three. I will say I do remember that there's a familiar face that comes in season three to uh as originally as Tobin's legal assistant, Chad Duell. Michael
Yes.
General Hospital. He is
Yes.
going to be coming on to play a role in the next few episodes, so
Hmm.
that'll be good to see.
Yep. And yeah, there's like I I just it's always really cool to just see like, which actors just kind of like come into the fold and how they
Yeah,
and because we've said it all along that they just develop like they bring in all these like new faces just so organically. It's not like, you're hit over the head. It's not
yeah,
like, it's just like there's a lot of it's just like they just kind of let them enter the, fold really gracefully, which I appreciate.
yeah,
And you get to see just so many different big soap names. And
yes,
even saw a little bit of promotion for the Bay for the upcoming season. The Darnell Williams is
yes,
going to be in the upcoming season, which like hello Jesse from All My Children. I mean that's like
yeah.
that was so cool to see that, and just knowing like too there's other big names and things that are going to be coming into
And
the
they will
fold.
be doing a memorial service for Jackie Zeman
Yes,
in the
yes.
next season. So
Hmm.
stay tuned.
Yeah, there's
As always,
a lot of
utilize
exciting stuff to
hashtag
come.
Bids the Bay
Yeah.
and follow them on Twix, which is at the Bay the series. They're also on Facebook as well. So follow them everywhere. Gregory J. Martin alone is a fantastic follow too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So so that's about it.
Yeah, I think we've covered all the bases,
Mhm.
and yeah, just looking forward to diving into season 3 next week.
Yes, and but before that, next Sunday at 7 p.m. right here on YouTube,
Yes.
Suds Awards are going to be released. We put all those clips together over the week. But yes, Sunday at 7 p.m. Suds Awards 2024. Be here. It'll be released at 7 p.m. and the links will be going all over the place as well.
Yep. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting to be a presenter,
Yes,
channel like, it's like a, not like the Oscars speech that I've got prepared in my head, but I don't have a presenter's speech prepared, but I can at least like, adopt the attitude.
exactly. And you won't need a teleprompter either.
I
And
hope
there
not.
will be no Will Smith coming out of the audience and slap you across the face. So, all right. Well,
No.
we are out of time. We will be back next week with season 3, episodes 1 and 2, and we'll be sitting right dockside at the bay. Have a great week, everybody.
Have a great week.